Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round number 9 of the Division 3 season. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Commentist. I'll be taking you through proceedings as per usual, and after a couple of weeks away, she's back in the commentary booth. Jess is back here with us this evening. So, Jess, firstly, how are you doing? And secondly, have you been keeping up with what's going on so far?
Well, I have been keeping up because I've been looking at the standings, see what's going on. It's great to be back. Obviously, there was 1 week where I was away in Northampton for karting, and the other week I was filling in for Division 4, so that's why I wasn't in the D3 commentary box. But I'm seeing a different leader in the championship, which is great to see. Recurrent had a great race last week in Bahrain as well, and I think quite a lot of people had their best results last week, but there was quite a lot of people such as Noah J and Knight as well that didn't get their Bahrain race as well as they would have hoped, unfortunately. Same with Passe too, but you know, Australia is a different beast altogether, and we were speaking just before the stream, haven't we, that it is a race of attrition tonight, I think, for these drivers.
Yeah, definitely looking like that's going to be the case. Of course, the track that we are racing at is the Melbourne Street Circuit at in Albert Park. It is notoriously a difficult track at the best of times, but with the new curb physics and everything we've got on this game, it's definitely a lot trickier than it maybe has been on previous games. And for a lot of drivers, including ourselves, in about an hour and a half's time, it'll be the first time we're racing on this game cycle around this track. So going to be a new experience for a lot of drivers this evening. Like you said, Rick had a really strong run last time out, got his first win of the season last time out at Bahrain. Really strong run for him. He leads the championship by 14 points, but crucially, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is not here this evening. In fact, neither Haskar is here this evening. So Rick leads but by 14 points, but opportunity now for RJ to retake the lead of the championship if he can perform well in this race. He's 14 points off. Luke has now moved up to third ahead of Taupe, who couldn't attend last time out. Luke getting his second podium of the season, his best result of the season, in second place last time out in the Aston Martin. Taupe now down to fourth after such a strong start to the championship for Taupe. A couple of DNSs and some poor performances midway through the season. It's not quite gone his way in recent rounds. Brent now up into fifth, but Brent in fifth has way less than half the points than our championship leader, so it really now starts to spread out. Brent with a podium last time out as well in Bahrain, fifth ahead of Camke, who's up to sixth after his best result of the season so far, back in Bahrain with a fifth place finish. Dari in seventh ahead of Passe in eighth. Old School, who was tipped to be the favourite last time out, didn't score any points. He's down to ninth, and Rex rounds off the top 10. So, yeah, it was a pretty interesting race, to say the least, last time out. We've talked about the championship frontrunners a lot so far, so we'll talk a little bit about that battle for fifth at the moment. It's fairly close from Brent in fifth at the moment on 50 points down to Miami in 11th on 33, so only 17 points covering those 6 drivers. But out of those, you've got to say a lot of them have maybe underperformed so far this season.
Yes, at least a lot of these people have had bad races. I think everyone has had bad races in that bunch this season, and if they didn't have those bad races, they probably would have been up there catching towards the front lot as well. And I have to say, some of these drivers haven't been getting podiums as much this season, but Brent managed to get a P3 last time out, like you were saying. Passe hasn't got any podiums either. Old School got his best results in Austria and in Silverstone, but he didn't score last week. I think he'll be deflated about his result, and I'm sure he would want to score a bit higher as well, because a few people had jumped up too as well. And Miami, since his podium in Silverstone, things just hasn't gone his way really in the Aston Martin since he became a full-time driver. So yeah, I like it when it's this close as well, but let's just hope they produce more consistent results, because they could gain with the disadvantage of others. There's some drivers that are not here tonight, as you said, so they could probably take advantage of that. But usually in Australia, there is a threat of potential weather on the horizon as well. Most of the races I commentated on, it had rain affected running, so if it does come here, I won't be too surprised. But these drivers, they're going to hope it's dry, because there's a lot of races this season where it has rained in Division 3.
Yeah, there has been a lot of weather interference, hasn't there, so far this season. They'll be hoping for a track this difficult. They won't particularly want that. Of course, it's difficult enough in the dry conditions, so we'll see what the weather holds as well. So plenty of things to keep an eye out for this evening. Of course, we've not got a full grid either this evening. A few of our reserves weren't able to attend, so we've only got 16 drivers this evening, which should make it a little bit easier for some of the people who are maybe a bit worried about qualifying. But we'll talk about the importance of qualifying here, and you've got to say, qualifying here, pretty important, because whilst there are 3 DRS zones, this track is still the old layout before it's obviously been made different for this year. So we still are on a very tight track with not a lot of overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing a new track when it comes out in real life. I think not very long, because obviously we have Bahrain this week, then we have Saudi Arabia, and then we have, in 2 weeks' time after that, we have Australia, which is a bit earlier on in the calendar. It was going to be late last year, but due to the COVID pandemic, they cancelled it. So yeah, we won't get to see it until then, and I really do hope that it does bring more people a chance to get towards the front of the grid. Same here with Division 3 as well. I can't wait to see it on the F1 2022 game, which I hopefully will improve as well, but they just have to deal with the dreaded corners for now. But this track has fond memories for some drivers in real life. It first held his Formula 1 race here back in 1996, where we saw Damon Hill take his victory here in the Williams, with Jack Villeneuve doing an impressive rookie performance in P2, and he actually challenged Damon Hill for the title that year. 1997, of course, he went on to win the title in controversial fashion, because Schumacher tried to take him out, and I think Schumacher ended up getting disqualified that season as well. Albert Park can be quite bumpy, which is why probably some of the drivers are struggling, and I think they got rid of the bumps in real life for the real life drivers, luckily, as well. And for some drivers, they need a reactive front end to chuck it into a corner, really, just to get the grip, I think, as well. But some drivers don't tend to be too confident. Brent is out already. Where's that? I'm trying to find where that is.
Turn 5, out of
turn 5.
Yeah,
yeah, we did say before the stream, turn 5 could be a corner where people can lose it, because it's quite narrow and high speed flowing as well. But yeah, few corners to watch out for, and of course we've got the infamous turn 12, where especially during my practice earlier on today, that is where I spun quite a few times.
Yeah, fair to say that there are a lot of corners we're going to be having to look out for this evening, like you mentioned. So yeah, plenty to look out for. We're going to ride on board with Noah J in the Mercedes. He's going to be the first person to take us through a full lap around this track. Then he's gone through turns 1 and 2 and out into probably the heaviest braking zone on the track at turn number 3. Then gets the car turned in nicely back to the right hand side for turn number 4, through the car park, the only part of this racetrack that isn't held on a public road, and then through that fast turn 5. Then has kept it on the road. End of the first sector. Turn 6 will be far more open this time on the next game next time around, and then of course into turn 9 and 10, where we will have no 9 and 10. This will become become a curve straight pretty much. So this quarter will be null and void after this race is pretty much finished. Noah J then through 9 and 10 through this curve straight into the 11 and 12 chicane. They'll be approaching a very, very high speed very soon on. Then 48.8 through the second sector, gets it through there nicely, keeps off the curbs. They are quite lethal here, so that is one thing to note. The curbs will be something that these drivers have to look out for this evening. Into turn 13, which will also be reprofiled in real life. It's a lot tighter, a longer braking zone there as well. Cops on the grass on the inside of 14 just a little bit. 15 has also opened up in real life, so it'll be a lot less tight than this. It is the slowest corner on the track. And then the final corner, turn number 16, then almost flat, but it's because it's in a traction zone, it's quite difficult to do so. Up towards the line, Noah J the first time, a 21.7. Luke, I think, is the next driver behind on a lap in the Aston Martin. He's on the medium compound tyre though, and he does a 23.1, 1.4 seconds off, and the delta here is around 1.2 to 1.5 seconds. So Luke should be in and around the ballpark. We're expecting probably pole tonight though, you've got to say, to be in the low 21s, possibly the high 20s if there's someone on this field that is particularly strong at this track.
Yeah, I agree. It's not going to be as close as we've seen in previous rounds, of course. Like we were at Bahrain, it was quite close then, as I was watching qualifying earlier on as well in full Division 3, just to catch up a little bit as well. But we're starting to see some new drivers really come to the fold as well. RJ as well in P2. They're just banker laps for the time being. And for those of you that are wondering why Pussy has retired, he has got a qualifying ban for blocking Luke in qualifying. I believe that was last week. It was his second block that he blocked Luke, so that's a bit unfortunate for him. So yes, he did his outlap, went into the pits and retired. So yeah, not his first qualifying ban of the season. I believe, I can't remember what track else he got it, but yes, that's why he has retired. Don't worry, he didn't have a crash like Brent did. So yeah, he'll be starting no higher than 10th position, but I'm sure other people will go quick. I'm trying to see if anyone else is about to finish it up. Not at the moment, but we do have Alchemist and Night On is on their outlaps as well. I did ask a few drivers about their thoughts about this track. Knight said turn 12 could be a handful, and he said it's simple. If I don't spin out, he can't crash, which is what most people did as Rom spun in turn 12, as I was just saying that.
Maybe a little bit of a curse, unfortunately, for the Houseman. But yeah, he was on a pretty solid lap up until that point. Probably in and around the ballpark of where RJ and Noah J are at the moment. But yeah, that spin, he's broken his front wing. He can keep going in the session, but obviously broken front wing, he won't be able to complete that lap at all. So Bunty is on a lap, I think, on the medium compound tyres. So we'll see what he can do. Best result last time out in Bahrain, finished 4th. A really strong race for Bunty here. He's had flashes of speed so far this season. I think France especially was leading a race in the early phases in the wet conditions, but just an ill-timed pit stop for the intermediate tyres dropped him well down the field and he never recovered, unfortunately. So Bunty now maybe has got a little bit of wind under his sails after a good result last time out. Fastest medium run at the moment is a 22.4 from Luke, and Bunty crosses the line to go just half a tenth of a second slower than that. So Bunty into P7 for the time being. Darry then it is at the moment who's on provisional pole by just under 3/10 of a second. Darry has been on pole already this season at Imola at the first round of the season. So, and of course that is where he picked up his first podium in League of Europe, Darry last time out. Since then for Darry, it's not been a particularly great season. He picked up another podium in Monaco, of course, where he's performed really well. So you've got to say, based on track record, tracks like Imola and Monaco, very difficult tracks for drivers, Darry seems to shine at those tracks. So maybe Darry might be the favourite coming into this race.
Yeah, I think I was looking at his results in street tracks, and you've got to agree. I think he doesn't like the tracks where it's mainly high speed and more wide for people to go for overtakes and stuff, because Australia can be a harder track to overtake, and if you qualify highly, that'll be good. Because after the first round in Imola, I was expecting the two Williams to completely dominate the season. Unfortunately, they're not. They're kind of sitting 4th and P7 respectively, and in the constructors they're only P4 in the constructors, not scoring any points in Bahrain. Aston Martin actually are still leading the constructors on 185 to McLaren's 143. So obviously J. Cole's points that he got in Division 3 got carried over to that as well. But since J. Cole has left to Division 2, they've still been scoring quite well, the Aston Martin pairing as well. Luke, of course, still seeing in P6 in the moment. He's under the radar at the moment, but I'm sure he can bounce his way up. Knight is on a lap as well, heading towards the final few corners of turn 15 and 16 as well. Move to the right a little bit so you don't have to lift as much as I tend to find on this game. Up to the line he goes. Can he get into the 121s? Yes, he does. 3rd place. Good lap for Knight.
Yeah, good lap for Knight there. Knight has not been particularly strong in qualifying this season, but that is a good start to his session then, P3, so making up for the lack of one Ferrari and the other Ferrari jumping to the front. By the way, just to note, I think this may be the last time we see Passé this season by the sounds of it. I think he may be quitting full-time racing at the end of this season to focus on exams, so this is definitely going to be a bit of a bow out for Passé if that is the case. We'll wait and see. It's not confirmed, but we'll find out anyway. Noah J was the next person to start another run, but he's immediately 3.5 seconds off in the first sector, so he's obviously made a mistake somewhere in the start of that lap. Alchemist put a lap in as well while Knight was trundling around a 23.1, so not particularly competitive at the moment in that Haas car. EVG Rom has just started his next one in the Haas, so we'll follow him. He is the next person then onto a lap in this session, throws it over the curb at turn number 1. You can get away with that. It's maybe a little bit kind of luck as to whether some of these curbs kill you or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. That time around for Rom it worked quite nicely, so we'll see what his first sector time is like. Looking for maybe a 0.7 in the first sector to be really competitive at the front of the field as he heads through turn number 5. Keeps it on the curb on the left hand side, but not too much, and it's a 0.8 for the first sector, so good first sector from the Haas driver. Can he sustain it though for the full lap? We've already seen an invalidation on his first lap and a spin on the second lap, so can he keep it on the road this time around? Late on the brakes then for turn number 9 through turn 10. You have to get on the power on the curb on the exit of that corner, so it's very difficult to get the power down, but he's done so quite nicely through the second sector split now. 48.7, still looking a pretty competitive lap so far for the Haas. Maybe a bit of understeer in 11, but gets the car through 12 this time around. Doesn't hit the wall after a spin, so he can continue on. And this looks like this should be his first proper lap then in this session. Gets it through 13 nicely. It's been a pretty neat and tidy lap so far from Rom, who's only raced once so far this season. I believe he raced in Saudi Arabia and Deviant DNF'd in that race, unfortunately. That's the only time we've seen him so far this season. So as he heads round the final corner and up towards the line, where can the Haas go? Can he topple Darry at the top of the timesheets? Not quite, but he goes into second place. So good lap there from Rom. He's the first person to really challenge Darry. But speaking of Darry, he's the 10th up in the first sector, so he's found a bit more time in that Williams. We'll see him through the second sector split. One of the Red Bulls is coming to the line. I think that is Maverick to start his next run. Darry, though, looking pretty comfortable through the second sector split, is a 10th up. So that Williams is looking very good at the moment, as the other Williams of Taupe now goes to the top of the timesheet. So the Williams domination, you would were talking about earlier on may have not come to fruition in the season, but so far in this qualifying session is starting to materialise. RJ spun out the last corner on a slow lap, so he's not going to be continuing on. He's got to make sure he gets going quickly before his car is disqualified for being in a dangerous location. Marty goes fourth in the Alpine. We'll see Dari to the line. Has he found anything in the final sector of this lap to get back onto provisional pole position? Yes, he has. He's found another half a tenth and he's put himself back onto provisional pole. And at the moment, Williams comfortably leading the way.
Great to see, isn't it, as well? They need that redemption moment because they haven't scored many points since, obviously, the first 2 rounds. Maybe they had a bit of pressure on them leading the way in the championship in the Constructors, and maybe because that pressure is off them now, maybe that's when they could perform. Sometimes that's what happens to me as well, as there's a few more people on laps as well. I think we've got the 2 Red Bulls on laps. We've got, I believe, Maverick, who is unfortunately invalidated. We've got Old School that's also invalidated as well, so he won't be improving. Bunty has gone 2 tenths up in the first sector. We'll see how he is in the middle sector coming up as well. Another yellow flag as well with just people moving out of the way. It might be a McLaren actually. It's spun. Oh, Bunty, that was so close. Wow. He had to lift a little bit in turn 12 because otherwise he would have been in the wall. We'll see how that was compromised in the final sector in a moment, but I don't think that's going to be an improvement. I believe there's an Alpine in just behind him as well, but I believe he's on his in-lap going into the pit soon. And then we've got an Aston Martin. I think most people are on their in-laps, to be honest. What about Alchemist in the other hat as well? He's going through towards 11 and 12. Let's see if he can do any better around turn 12. There's certain people that just try to avoid the curbs as much as they can just to try and not spin through turn 12, but that's where you gain the most time. So you just got to find the right balance as he's past turn 13, heading towards turn 14 now. Clipped it quite nicely. Now turn 15 and 16. Hardest corners to negotiate on this circuit in the final sector. What can he do? Can he get near his teammate of Ron? We had a very good lap actually. Could be a Haas rivalry for tonight. It is a 122.3, which only puts him into P12. I believe that's the last person on their flying lap for now. The only person that's on track that could be on to doing lap soon is Knight in the Ferrari.
Yeah, he's on an out lap at the moment. Mats had just started another run, but he's backed off straight away. So that suggests to me he's also made a mistake somewhere in the early part of the lap. So still really yet to see representative times. Bunty's on another run on the softs. Of course, his only time at the moment is on the medium compound tyres. So we'll see what he can do on the softs. We mentioned the delta could be between 1.2 to 1.5. So if he finds that delta, he could be right at the front of the field here. We'll see what he can do. Can he bounce? Or can he use really this momentum from Bahrain and get a good result here this evening? He's had a good middle sector on this lap. So we'll see him through the final couple of corners. I don't think he'll quite get to the Williams, but he could be on the second row of the grid with this time as he comes up towards the line now. And it's actually, no, he found even more time in the final sector. Lovely final sector from Bunty, and a 21-1 now then. So it's an Alfa Romeo onto provisional pole. Alchemist has dropped the car through turn 12. So that's another retiree from this qualifying session then. So tricky so far. Drivers are making mistakes left, right and centre. And at the moment, maybe a little bit of an unorthodox front row. Dari already with a pole position so far this season, but beyond that hasn't really come close to a pole. And Bunty looking really strong so far tonight.
Yeah, he is as well. Another driver that needs to redeem himself after the last few races, but we'll see if anyone else could challenge him right now. Maybe we'll see some more surprises. Maybe we'll see a surprise from Knight as he just starts the final sector, heading towards turn 13. I think he's backed off on his lap because he's got 4 ERS, so I think he's going to go again on probably his final push lap, I reckon, unless he goes into the pit. I think he's got plenty of fuel left, so he can go again if he wants to, but nope, he's going into the pits, which I've just been told in the chat as well, there's going to be no rain in Australia, which is quite uncommon when I'm in the commentary box, but anyway, it's going to be a dry race for the drivers, completely dry, so no rain, thank goodness, especially on a track where most people, they haven't raced on this game cycle, so it is time for them just for racing attrition, like we're saying. But everyone is going out again for one final time on the soft compound tyres, and they really don't want to be 7th, 8th, 9th or 10th. Ideally, they want to be in the top 5 really if they want to get the best result, because people on the alternate strategy will perform better, I think, by being on the alternate strategy, because in real life they've banned that strategy now. Basically, they can start on whatever tire they want to, which I think will make for an interesting race tomorrow, but I'm not going to spoil things too much, just in case those of you were watching it on catch up on Sky Go or whatever, or Channel 4 later on. So don't worry, I won't spoil it for you. But I nearly spoiled it earlier on, but I won't spoil it just in case you haven't watched it. But it was a very good qualifying in real life, so I highly recommend that you watch it if you haven't. As Marty is starting his final lap now as well. We'll see. He may have time to do 2 more laps as well, but he's got to improve from 5th position. But the gap between 5th and Bunty is around about 5/10 of a second. Well, 5/6 of a second. He's going to be looking for, I think, a 0.6 once again, maybe a 0.4 to go quicker than the likes of Rom, Anatty Williams and Bunty. 26.8, so he was improving, but not quite faster compared to the other guys up front.
Yeah, not quite the best first sector we've seen so far. 1:45 left in the session. A lot of these drivers are leaving it very late to come out the pits for their final run. In fact, Bunty, Maverick and Mats will still in the pits with 1.5 minutes to go, so I doubt they're going to be able to make it back out in time for their final run. Then Marty, a 10th up through the second sector, but again, still not looking like he's going to be challenging the front row of the grid unless he finds something in this final part of the lap. We shall wait and see then as he heads down towards the braking zone for turn 13, gets the car turned in quite nicely, uses all the curb on the exit. Mats has retired in the pits. He's not going to be able to make it out for another run in this session, so the best he can manage in this qualifying is at least 12th. He could fall because Old School is the only other driver behind him who can still set a lap time in this session. Marty then up towards the line, currently 5th on the grid in the Alpine. Where can he go as he crosses the line? Go second. Brilliant final sector, and look how close that is. 1/1000th of a second. What a final sector that was, but just not quite enough to get on pole. Luke across the line in the Aston Martin goes into 5th on a 21.3. Ever the consistent top 5 runner this season has Luke been. He improves then. Now it's the McLaren's turn to try and improve. Old School goes up to P7. That's much more representative. RJ, looking for a run in this championship, has made a mistake on his first lap on his tyres, so he's going again. But 10th at the moment is not what he needs in this qualifying session. He needs to be right up the front to take advantage of Rekurik not being here. Noah J has invalidated what could have been a 0.2. That would have put him 4th in this session had the time not been invalidated. We're now waiting for really the Williams. They've just started their final runs now, so now it's just a case of whoever's come out last, we're now just waiting for them to get to the line in time. Bunty I don't think's going to make it to the line in time by the looks of things. He's going to be cutting it very. Oh, and Knight's had a big snap of oversteer through turn number 6. He's spun the car, so that is his and over and done with. Bunty has made it to the line with less than a second to spare, so he does have enough time to get a lap in, which is great to see. Maverick has not made it to the line in time in the Red Bull, so he will be starting 12th in this race then. What are the front runners in this qualifying session doing then? Darry's barely improved in the first sector. What about Tope? Tope's just behind him on the road. I don't know if Knight maybe impacted his run just a little bit. We shall wait and see. The two McLarens running close together here. RJ's invalidated. RJ has invalidated his run, so his session is over and done with. Best he can manage is 10th. He'll be hoping that Camke can beat him in this session so he can at least start on the alternate strategy. And Camke is 2/10 up at the moment, so RJ could be maybe a little bit lucky at this point with Camke improving on his time. But Camke's had a massive snap out of 12. Yeah, Old School's invalidated as well. He's both into the pits, so both McLarens into the pits. Knight is spun. It's just the Williams then that are coming up to the line. What can Darry do? Can he get back onto pole position in this race? He crosses the line. He doesn't improve. Tope crosses the line. He doesn't improve either. Neither Williams found any time on their runs. It's Bunty and Camke we're yet to see, but Bunty's invalidated. Camke to the line. Can he improve? One of the Haas cars has crashed around the final corner. That is Rom. Camke crosses the line. He doesn't improve either. Nobody improved on their final runs apart from Marty, and in the end, it could not be any closer. Bunty hangs on by 1/1000th of a second.
We couldn't get any closer between these two, and I was not expecting Bunty and Marty to be up there in the top 2. That's how difficult this track is as well. Anything can happen as well, and I would like to see a comparison between Bunty and Marty's lap, because I think there's not much in it, but it may be a slight mistake for Marty that might have cost him pole position, perhaps maybe a slight chunk of understeer or oversteer potentially as well. But yeah, that is amazing. And even the top 3 is separated by less than a tenth, with Darian P3. He was quite close as well. Tope's not far behind his teammate as well. And then we got a good close battle between Luke, Old School and Rom. And then we've got another interesting fight between obviously Noah J to Maverick, and then everybody else who either had a qualifying ban or did not set a good time. Mats and Alchemist, I think they could have gone even quicker if Mats got into the pits in time and then done at final lap. Alchemist binned it, unfortunately, but we are set for a really great race as well. Let's hope they can survive this one.
Yeah, there's definitely hope. Qualifying didn't go well for a few drivers, so I don't know how this race is going to turn out, but that's going to be interesting. And a very unorthodox grid so far this evening. Probably one of the most unorthodox grids we've seen so far this season. Bunty on pole by 1,000th of a second over Marty in second in the Alpine. It's an all-Williams second row. Darry ahead of Toke this time around, ahead of Luke. As we said, ever the consistent top 5 finisher, and top 5 again tonight in qualifying in that Aston Martin. Rom in 6th, the head of Old School, the best of the McLarens in 7th. Noah J 8th, Knight 9th, having only set one run in the session. It still ends up inside the top 10. RJ 2nd in the championship. Rekurik not here, only 10th on the grid. Not what he would have wanted at a track you would expect him to succeed at. Then it's Cam K and Maverick in the Red Bulls. Matt, Alchemist, Passe and Brent then are the final 4 drivers, and of course the last 2 not setting a time. Passe with a quali ban, and the other driver, which was Brent, crashing out coming out of turn 5 on the outlap of his first run. So yeah, we said it already, race of attrition definitely is what we're expecting. Qualifying was already a qualifying of attrition, because we had about 3 drivers crash out and 4 or 5 drivers have spin and hit the wall. So this race is going to be a lot about just trying to keep it on the road.
Yes, and maybe they want to try and mainly do the moves between turns, pretty much the first sector, where it's not as difficult. Maybe before turn 4 as well. Once you get the move done there, that may be plain easy sailing for you later on in the race. Maybe also between, I would say, turn 9 and 10 potentially as well. That could be a good risky strategy as well. But the drivers don't want to be suffering of what happened in 2008, for example, with 7 drivers reaching the end of that race. It was quite chaotic. There was an incident at the beginning that saw 5 drivers end their races on the first lap. Felipe Massa and David Coulthard coming together that race. And Timo Glock one wide and broke his suspension, sending his Toyota car airborne. I don't think we're going to see that tonight, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And then Barrichello had a pit lane incident as well. So, yes, Australia is definitely a race of attrition there. But we're looking at the tyres for this evening's race. Pretty much, we've got Cam and Maverick on the soft, so both of those Red Bulls gone for a similar strategy. Matt, Alchemist, Passe and Brent all gone for the medium tyres, so quite a mix from outside the top 10. I thought they would have all gone for the medium tyres, but all of them are going for something completely different. Everyone in the top 10, obviously, they qualified on softs for their best lap. They're starting on softs.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a surprise to see the 2 Red Bulls on the soft compound tyres, because you've got to say so far this season the Red Bulls haven't been great in quali, but their specialty has been making the best of the alternate strategy. It's why Cam K is currently 6th in the championship. He's the only driver in this division to score points in every race so far this season. So, and that's because he's a master of the alternate strategy in this division at the moment. So maybe a bit surprising to see Cam K and Maverick, especially them, do the same thing. Maybe would have expected one of them to go onto the medium tyres, but no, they've committed to the softs. So we'll wait and see. We know that the medium tyres in terms of initial pace aren't as good as softs here. It's pretty difficult for the medium runners in the very first few laps of this race to keep up with the soft runners, but the pace of the softs at the end is very fast compared to the mediums. So you take one pain at the start and then you hopefully gain at the end. So dependent really on what they can do. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what these drivers at the back of the field can do, especially Passe and Brent. 2 drivers you would expect to be normally at the front, not having, Passe having a quali ban and Brent crashing. It's going to be a pretty difficult race for them at a track you can't really overtake on.
Well, I think the guys on the softs, I've got to hope there's an early safety car. That's probably why Cam and Maverick went on the softs, because with previous experience around this track, they were caught in safety car drama and they would have benefited by going onto the hards to the end potentially. So that's probably what they're thinking. One's on the mediums, thinking the safety car will come late on, maybe if there is one. So that remains to be seen as well. But yeah, Noah J, I think, needs a miracle tonight. He's qualified well in P8, didn't have a good race last time out, and I have to say, Noah J is hoping to finish the race. That is his goal. At the moment, he's exceeding his expectations. Let's hope he can keep it that way. But Bunty on pole, Marty alongside, but we got the 2 Williams ready to pounce when they need it.
Yeah, like you said, Noah J, last time he finished the race was the first round of the season at Imola, so we'll wait and see what these drivers can do then. 5 lights ahead of the drivers, and we are away very quickly, and that might have caught Bunty out because Marty's reacted to the lights very quickly indeed, but Bunty's got enough of a run to get in well, Bunty's got enough of a run to hold the place. Tope didn't get a good start. He's dropped behind Luke at the first corner. Food turns 1 and 2, they go. It looks fairly clean throughout the field. Knight and Rom side by side. Knight's had a good start from 9th on the grid. He's up to 7th already. Noah J's dropped back a few places from 8th. He's down to 11th at the moment, battling with RJ for the final spot inside the top 10. Cam K on his fresh softs has had a good start from 11th up to 8th, and Knight immediately onto the back of Tope.
Noah J's down to last.
Yeah, he's had a spin, I think, at the back of the field. I think Mats maybe has had a moment as well by the looks of things. Yeah, Mats has a damaged front wing, so I don't know if there was a coming together between the pair of them, but something has happened at least. Brent from last on the grid is up to 11th, so he's had a brilliant start in the other AlphaTauri. Well, the lights went out very, very quickly indeed, as now Knight and Camke are side by side, running up to turn 11. One of the two is going to have to back out of this corner. Who's going to back out? Neither of them, and Camke forces his way down the inside and up into 7th. Lovely move from Camke. Arj's going to try and capitalise, but I don't think he's got the run out the corner to do so. So Camke from 11th up to 7th, maybe starting on those fresh softs, has worked quite nicely because on the first lap, he's carved through the drivers in front of him.
That's probably why he went on the softs, to be honest, as well. And that strategy's paid off for him. Even his teammates stayed where he is and gained a few positions as well. So Maverick doing a great job to be in that soft queue. They're both on the soft queue now, so they've got rid of the medium runners, no problem, and they're able to battle all they can. So a few drivers are going to go into the pits now. Not surprising, Rom, Noah J and Matt are going to go in to the pit so far. Old School is having a battle, but Luke has went off a little bit. He's down to 8th place. Both Tote, Cam, Knight have gone past him as well. And looking at his car, not some obvious damage that I'm seeing as well, but I wonder if he's losing his end plate somewhere. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he just spun it on his own, but at least he's still in the top 8 for now, so still a long way to go in this race. And I was predicting earlier on, I'm making a bold prediction now, if you finish, you get points, because top 12 in LOE do get points in this league and in this division. And don't forget, there's only 16 drivers, as we've got RJ that's gone past Luke. So yeah, he's probably got some damage, which is not obvious because I think Luke is faster than RJ around this circuit, but RJ just got past him anyway. So Luke has got a lot of work to do if he wants to climb his way back up, which puts Knight and Cam up positions as well. And Old School is up into 4th place because of it, and he's already chasing down Dari as well, which is really great to see. I don't know what's happened to Tote, but the McLaren boy of Old School, he's doing a great job out there. Maybe he likes the circuit, I don't know.
Yeah, up to 4th from 7th on the grid, so a good start for Old School. Tope, of course, that bad start for him. He's trying to recover from where he started, 3rd on the grid. There's a spin for Marty. Marty from 2nd position has dropped the car out the final corner and then just driven straight into the wall, trying to turn the car around and lost his front wing. So yet again, Marty from a brilliant position has made a mistake, a fundamental small mistake that has cost him big, and now he's lost his front wing completely. He's going to have to do a full lap without a front wing. We have seen this so many times this season from Marty. He's been in so many good positions and has just dropped it on his own or crashed on his own with no real pressure and has blown opportunities. It's happened again for Marty. When is it going to end for the Alpine driver? It just seems to keep happening every time we race this season.
Yeah, it is. Some people are quali merchants, but they're not as consistent when it comes to the race, and that's where you get the points at the end of the day, isn't it? You don't get points in the qualifying, so he needs to work on his racecraft as well, potentially as well. Maybe just he didn't get much traction heading towards the final corner. We don't know. So Marty got a lot of work to do. Let's see if he's got any damage. Yes, he's got his front wing's gone. So yeah, he'll be going into the pits, unfortunately. Don't be surprised if he goes on the hards nice and early, or maybe he wants to go on the mediums, just like Rom, Noah J and Matt. Another retirement from Noah J. Noah J said he wanted to finish a race. Well, unfortunately, he has not finished this time. A weird place. It's turn 5 again. It's. Yep. I'm seeing more people been in turn 12 in qualifying, but in the race it's mainly turn 5. I'm a bit shocked about that. VSC, no safety car at the moment, so all the guys. I mean, that's why nobody's taking the advantage of that pit stop right now. Maybe the people near the back. Well, I think I'm almost certain. I'm just trying to see who else would take advantage. Maybe Marty will definitely take advantage because he has to pit. He won't lose that much time because of it. So he was very happy with that VSC to happen. So we got one more time on already, and there's something else going on. Bunty's off the lead.
He's gone off the road under the virtual safety car. I don't know what on earth just happened there, but he just wasn't paying attention, and it's just missed the braking zone for turn 3 and driven straight off the road. What on earth? I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Bunty in a comfortable lead. The lead, by the way, before that virtual safety car was about 1.3 seconds after that spin for Marty. So Bunty had broken DRS to Darry in that situation and has just driven off the track in the virtual safety car and is now down to second. So now Darry is into the lead of this race. It's really falling into Darry's hands at the moment. So going well so far, up into the lead. Can Darry get his first win of the season, maybe? He's just been gifted a massive opportunity. Old School now in third with Taupe directly behind him. Cam K from 11th on the grid is up to 5th. What a start for him. A Knight as well, up to 6th. He's had a great start in this race. We're back going again. And Knight has had a good virtual safety car restart. He's on the back of Cam K, but not close enough to think about a move into turn 13. So he'll stay behind for the time being. But either way, what on earth? That was a very bizarre mistake for Bunty to make. And again, the same as Marty, we've seen Bunty in many good positions this season and make really, really small and maybe silly errors and just cost them big time. He's still in the position. He's still in the race at the moment. He's in second. He's not out of it whatsoever. But either way, that is just added stress that he's putting himself that he didn't need to do.
Yes, remember where we saw Mark Webber make his Minardi debut in 2002 and benefited from the mistakes of more experienced drivers around this track? Well, we could see something similar for Darry if he gets his first win potentially as well. Maybe Alchemist. Alchemist is in the points right now as well due to Noah J's retirement, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that to get his points in a very good situation at the moment as well on lap 5. So in a few laps time, people may be thinking of going on to a different tyre compound, whether it be on the mediums or the hards. If it was a few laps time, it probably will be the hard compounded tyres. Let's have a look at position gain, shall we? Cam, biggest gainer, as well as Brent. They've both gained 6 positions. We've got Passe, who's gained 4 after starting near the back. Alchemist has gained 2, as well as Darry. We've got Maverick that's gained 3, as well as Knight and RJ Oldschool has gained 4. Taupe has stayed exactly where he is. Biggest loser, Marty down 13, Rom down 7, Luke down 3, Bunty and Matt's down 1, and Rom has got a penalty, so he's already one of the biggest losers to that effect. He's actually one of the biggest losers towards the back of the field without Marty, but we shall see. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is Rom. I just talked about him. Where that's turn 9 and 10, and that's a VSC again.
Yeah, another VSC then. That is a very bizarre place. I mean, you mentioned it. We were maybe expecting more people to drop it at 12, but we've had someone crash at turn 5, and now someone crashed on the exit at turn 9 through turn 10. So, bizarre, but our second virtual safety car of the race, and we're only 5 laps in. We said it was going to be a race of attrition. My oh my, it definitely has been that so far. It's been pretty chaotic so far at the start of this race then. Got to keep an eye out, of course, for Brent and Passe, 10th and 11th at the moment. They're on the medium compound tyres, and all this is going to do is extend the life of these tyres and keep them within range of the soft runners. So this playing quite nicely at the moment for the medium compound runners of Brent and Passe. Keep an eye on them later on in the race. And what this does mean, those on the softs can extend a little bit further. From about lap 7 onwards, you can safely make it to the end on a set of medium compound tyres. They may be a bit slow towards the end, but if you can hold the track position, it definitely works. It depends on whether these drivers are committed to the mediums or whether they go onto the hards. We shall wait and see. Darry then still leading. We'll wait for the virtual safety car to get going. And Bunty has just lagged out of the session, unfortunately. So he is now out of the session. So his AI car will drop a bit further back. So another driver that's having a horror show of an evening so far is Bunty then. He's dropped down into second after that mistake under the first VSC. And now under the second one, he's lost connection to the lobby. So that will put Old School now into a net second position once he passes that AI car. It's all kind of falling into the hands of Old School at the moment, isn't it? Qualified 7th, and almost every driver that started in front of him has made a mistake and thrown it away, apart from Darry. Darry's the only one so far that started in front of Old School to not have made a mistake so far. Luke is the first one in at the end of lap 6. That will probably be for a set of medium compound tyres, I would suspect. Into the pit lane he comes. It is for a set of medium tyres. So Luke is the first one in. He should come out in a lot of clean air. So opportunity now for Luke to make up the places he lost with that mistake on lap 2.
Yes, I think those mediums could just about get to the end, give or take, with this strategy. But it may be a bit of a push for Luke, but we will see. I thought he would have waited a few more laps to go into the pits on the mediums, but the undercut is just so powerful around here. 21.5 seconds is a pit lane loss around here as well. So I think if they want to take advantage of the undercut They've got to do it quite nicely. Meanwhile, we've got Matt and Marty. They were having a battle towards turn 1 there as well. Not where they would have liked to be at these early stages of the race, but who knows? There could be something that could change. And my Delta's just gone, probably because Bunty is lagged out. But yeah, I can't see who's closing up at the moment. But Marty is trying to make a run around the outside into turn 3. Couldn't quite make it down. They head towards turn 4, heading towards where a lot of people have lost it, towards turn 5 now. Those two doesn't seem to have lost it at the moment, and they're going to be heading towards turn 6 and turn 7. Quite short corners around this track actually as well, followed by tight chicane, which is probably why a lot of people tend to be losing out. And keeping an eye on Marty DRS, he's got plenty to use, same as Matt, so we could have an even battle there. More people have gone into the pits, Aiden. We've got Old School, we've got Tope as well. Everybody else has stayed out. RJ's obviously staying out because of his teammates, same with Darry on Tope. Don't know why everyone else hasn't gone into the pits yet, but they probably want to nurse their tyres a bit more. Maybe they're not as good as their tyres compared to everybody else, but we'll see where that ends up in relation to Luke. Luke's coming towards the final, well, the start-finish straight now. And if there's a few drivers that come out, pretty much most drivers come out in front of him due to that pace difference. Old School and Tope have gone in front of him. Another yellow flag, which was at AlphaTauri. That was Matt, who had a bit of a moment.
Yeah, he's had a moment through turn 14. He's into the pit lane, so I would not be surprised if that's a retirement in the pits maybe for the AlphaTauri driver. He's had a bit of a horror show of a race so far, then we'll wait and see for that one then. But yeah, Old School from second place into the pit lane, so that is a crucial pit stop. Darry's now got to react to this because we don't know where Old School will be in relation. Luke wasn't able to jump Tope, but he is just behind him, and Tope was a couple of places up the road. They had Camk, Knight, and actually RJ as well in between, so Camk, Knight and RJ here running the risk of losing places to Luke. Luke could be up about 3 or 4 places after this pit stop phase because of that early pit stop. We'll wait and see if the mediums last to the end of the race, but either way, strategy-wise for the early doors, it will definitely work. Darry from the lead is into the pit lane then, as we would expect. Bunty is in. Camk staying out. Of course, Camk started on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, so he can do this. And I think if you're Camk, you may as well do it. If you've got fresher softs, use them for a bit, try an overcut, use a bit of clean air, and if a safety car comes out in the next couple of laps, plays beautifully into your favour.
Yeah, I think that's probably why he stayed out. He had no other choice, really, to be honest, because usually I jeffed him last season. Usually he's not the best with his tyres. He's on a pad, don't forget. Tyre management on a pad is incredibly difficult compared to on a wheel, so maybe you want to be doing the early undercuts if you wish. So Luke has got Tope, Bunty and Old School ahead of them. Darry is just got ahead of Old School by 1.3 seconds. So Darry's overcut has worked. That is good news for the drivers that have stayed out on those soft tyres, in particular Cam as well. So probably his strategy may have worked wonders. So I'll just leave Brent, Passe and Alchemist to pit, but they're on the mediums. They will have to stretch until around about lap 17, 18 to get to the M. If they go any later than that, there's no way they're going to get to the M. But you never know. Anything can happen in Formula 1 as well. So Cam has got to have the best in lap he can, because otherwise there is a danger of him losing out to Luke as well. And tonight as well. As long as he gets ahead of Knight, I'm sure he'll be happy with that as well, because again, he's the only driver to score points in every race this season. Is he going to come in? No, he's not. He's staying out. I think he's going to wait to the end of that 10, lap 11 maybe.
Yeah, maybe just make sure that his mediums are a bit stronger at the end of the race. We'll wait and see what this strategy is. Weird, though, that the only driver that really made any sort of impact with the undercut in that pit stop phase was Luke. Luke has managed to jump back ahead of Knight and RJ in that pit stop phase, which has gained him 2 of the places back he lost at that first corner. He'd lost 3 places. The other driver he lost a place to was Camk, who is still out, so you would safely say he is ahead of Camk now. Maverick as well, right at the back of RJ, so he's back into this fight. Further up, RJ is going to try and get a move done at turn 1 on Knight. Not quite close enough. Knight's not within DRS range of Luke in front, so RJ trying to get this move done so he's not held up behind the Ferrari. It's going to be a move at turn 3, maybe around the outside. Knight defends the inside line. RJ late on the brakes around the outside. Knight tries to hold it down the inside. Little bit of contact, but fair racing. RJ down the inside for turn 4. Knight got a bit more grip around the outside. He'll have the inside for turn number 5. They keep going side by side. Great battling, but it's costing them a lot of time as they go into turn 6, and RJ is going to have to back out of that one. Knight holds the place. Great defending from Knight there. Great racing from RJ as well. It's just going to cost them time as they head towards turn number 9. Is RJ going to try around the outside of turn 9? Just not late enough on the brakes. He can't commit to the move, and he stays in 11th for the time being, and that's going to put Maverick on him here. Maverick looking down the inside for turn 11 maybe, but just not using his ERS on the exit of the corner. Stays behind, but that has cost them about a second to Luke in front, and now Knight is going to have to push even harder to try and get back within DRS range.
Yep, he does as well, and I'll see if RJ would probably potentially go for the move again as Cam finally goes into the pits, as I predicted, end of lap 10, that the soft can comfortably get, no, the softs, the hards. He's gone for the hard tyres.
Oh.
Was he meant to do that? I don't think so.
I doubt, no. I doubt that he was meant to do that. That's definitely a strategy mistake, as Mats has crashed out of turn 5. That is another car that's gone around at turn 5.
Oh, no! That
Full
is
safety
bad
car.
timing for Cam.
Really bad timing for Camke. He's come out ahead of Knight and RJ though. Because of Knight and RJ's would jump. They weren't able to make an impact on Camke, so the undercut wasn't working for Knight and RJ. Camke still comes out in front, but on a set of hards, and that is not the tyre you want to be on around this track. The mediums at the best of times have a lot less grip than the softs. I can't imagine how bad the hards would be here. What this does do is horribly impact the races of Brent and Passe in this one, of course, because they started on the mediums, and you will not be able to get the softs on the end of the race here. So they're possibly going to have to go onto a set of hards if they want to make sure they get to the end of this race. They could stay out, but then that relies on another safety car coming out for their strategy to work, and we obviously don't know if that is going to be the case. We'll wait and see with these drivers what they can do. Before that safety car, Dari was just driving away at the front of the field. He'd caught Alchemist, who's on that alternate strategy, but he was about 1.5 seconds clear of Old School and was driving off into the distance. This safety car is not what Dari would have wanted, but either way, I think Dari's got a lot of pace here this evening, so he's looking dead set as possibly the favourite tonight to win this race. What do Brent and Passe do? Brent comes into the pit lane. Passe decides to come into the pit lane as well, so they're both in what would likely be a set of hard compound tyres, you would assume, as they're into the pit lane. Alchemist will be the other driver as well, who's not made a stop in this race. Does he decide to come into the pit lane as well? Yes, he does. He's into the pits and gets a really weird 2-second time penalty for corner cutting there when he wasn't off the track. That was a bit bizarre. Yeah, both hards for Brent and Passe. Brent coming out of the pit lane. Where is he going to come out here? Because this could be quite far up the order. It's a lot farther up the order than I expected. Brent's going to come out in third. Wow. That is a lot higher up than I was expecting. That safety car, track position-wise, has worked beautifully for Brent.
It has as well, and you never know when safety cars could come out as well. Sometimes you like to treat yourself that there's no safety car, but I think with Brent being on the mediums, that's helped him a little bit. But the delta between the hards and mediums is huge, so he's going to have his work cut out. But getting into that position with that safety car, you lose so less time in the pits, about 5 or 6 seconds, I think, less time you lose on there, compared to obviously when you pit under full green flag conditions, which is probably why he did. But if Brent pitted obviously with no safety car, he would have jumped way down the order. So even though he's not on the soft, so he would have lied, he's in for a very good position to get some decent points. But don't forget, if one more driver retires, that's it. Everyone who will finish will score points. So plenty of opportunities for people to just finish. I did say my prediction was if you finish and survive, you'll get points. I think it's going to be more likely by the lap.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there at the moment, aren't we? It's definitely looking like that. One person that also pitted there was Cam K. He's gone in for a set of fresh medium compound tyres. That suggests to me then that pit for the hards was a mistake. He didn't mean to go onto the hard compound tyres, and he switched to the mediums. But what that has done, where he would have been 7th on the road ahead of the 2 Ferraris of Knight and Passe, he's now down to 12th. So he's going to have to do what he did on lap 1 and work his way back through the field again. But if there's anybody that can do it, it's Cam K. He's done it all season long. There shouldn't be any reason why he can't do it again tonight. We shall wait and see. Then Marty, of course, the driver at the back of the field, he's not caught the safety car queue yet, so the safety car will stay out for another lap. And the question now is, what can Passe and Brent do on the hards? That's if they stay on the hards. We'll see if any of them pit on this lap for a fresh set of mediums. I doubt they will. We'll wait and see, especially in Brent's case, because he's so far up the order. Brent stays out. Does Passe come into the pit lane for a fresh set of mediums?
Yes.
Yes, he does. He does, yeah. So I think for Passe that maybe makes a bit more sense, because the 5 drivers behind him all have fresh mediums. So theoretically, Passe was going to get swamped here. So now, is Brent going to be the cork in the bottle in this race?
Has he made a mistake now going on? Well, he had no other choice to go on the hards, but has he made a mistake for not pitting for the mediums? Because I believe, do they have another fresh set of mediums potentially?
They should do, yeah.
They should do, as long as you haven't used a set of mediums in qualifying. So I think that is a strategy people have got to realise. If you use your mediums in qualifying, you only have one fresh set and you don't have another new set. So that's probably why Brent has stayed out. He's got no new mediums left. But his mediums would have only been racing for about 1 lap, if that. So he would have been okay, because the mediums would have got to the end anyway. But I think he's just more worried about track position more than anything. But I think he's going to lose more track positions if as he's staying out on the hards potentially as well, rather than pitting. So yeah, bad decision from Brent in my opinion. But we'll see. But if he manages to defend the guys that are behind on the mediums, that'll just be that'll be really good. I hope he does. But I think he's going to get absolutely swarmed. Cam definitely did the right thing, pitting onto those mediums after that mistake. Everyone else on the mediums, Brent on the hards. Surely he's the odd one out here. He's got a lot of work to do. Safety car, Aiden, it is in this lap.
Yeah, safety car in this lap, like you say. So yeah, Brent's got to make sure he holds his paces early so that when we get to around, well, in about 10 laps time, hopefully the hards by then would have leveled out with the medium compound tyres, but we just don't know what the pace of the hards is because we've not really seen the hards at all this season on this game at this point. The hard compound tyres are pretty much just there for the sake of it because almost every track at this stage is a soft medium strategy bar, maybe a couple of circuits. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult here from Brent to try and sustain this pace, but we shall wait and see. Darry then has full control over the restart. When does he decide to go? Clear road in front of him. He was pulling away from Old School before the safety car came out, so you would maybe expect him to do the same at this restart. It just all depends as to when he goes. We're going through turn 15 now. He's not gone just yet by the looks of things. He's waiting out of the final corner. Is he going to go directly out of the final corner?
Leaving it late.
Yeah, he's going to leave it very, very long here. Hopefully the drivers behind recognise it. A couple of drivers maybe fanning out, and he's gone now, but Old School's reacted brilliantly here. So Old School's got a good opportunity to try and take the lead at turn 1 maybe, but he's just not close enough to go for the move. So Darry holds on. A little bit of understeer for both of the drivers into turn 1. Bonte here's got a great opportunity on Brent, but had such a run. He run clean into the back of the AlphaTauri through turn 2, and that stalled him out a little bit, but he's late on the brakes down the inside. Brent turns across. Brent turns across and Bunty's left nowhere to go. He spun around. It was worth the attempt from Bunty, but Brent didn't really leave him a lot of room, and around goes the Alfa Romeo. So what was already a bad race has gone horribly wrong yet again for Bunty. He's now down to 13th position. Brent holds on to 3rd, but Brent could have left a lot more room there.
Yeah, he could have as well. Luke has had a good restart as well, and he's trying to chase up Tote for 4th place. But yeah, I think Darry has left it the latest he possibly can, really. I know there's a rule in one league where you have to leave it as late as you can as well, but you could go up to the you can go up to from the final corner onwards. I'm surprised he hasn't done that, but I thought he would catch people out by doing that, but he didn't. Old School was reacting to that, definitely. He was just so keen to get going. And we can see Pass having a good restart as well. So a few people were being caught off guard and being caught napping at the moment. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go towards the end, because Brent's not being swamped, which is quite surprising. So maybe we're seeing a Daniel Ricciardo strategy, maybe, or Lewis Ayrton Senna type of strategy, where we're seeing someone who's on older tyres and harder tyres really coming to fruition. And Brent's definitely showing that as well, which shows that track position is key. So maybe I doubted him, and Brent, if you're watching this back, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if you watch this back, we're maybe a bit sorry, but yeah, for a first lap on a set of hard compound tyres, he's done pretty well. We'll see if that sustains, but so far he's not under any immediate threat from Tope or Luke behind, so maybe all of a sudden the hard compound tyres are a good tyre. We'll wait and see. This is perfect news for those in the later divisions, because at the moment at least the hard compound tyres don't look too bad. We'll see if anybody else is going for moves. Marty's had a good restart. He restarted down in 11th, I believe, with Passe directly behind him. He's up to 9th. He's past Kamke in this and Alchemist. So Marty's had a very good restart here, trying to recover after that early spin. Of course, he qualified on the front row, only a thousandth off pole. So Marty technically is one of the fastest drivers here tonight. So got to keep an eye out what his pace can be in this latter stages of the race. He's on the freshest set of medium compound tyres in the field, bar Passe at the moment. So keep an eye on him to work his way through the field. Maverick will be his next target. Passe right behind, just tucking out of the toe there, just maybe trying to force the driver in front into a mistake, but not quite close enough really to make anything happen at the moment. Nobody so far seems to be struggling on this restart. Darry's got a 6/10 gap, but Old School closing it in nicely in those last two corners. It's maybe Luke and Tope. Luke is not quite on the same pace as Tope in front, and interestingly Tope is nowhere near putting really any pressure on Brent. We said it already on the previous lap that Brent's had a good restart considering the tyres he's on. Tope is nowhere near him, so Tope is nowhere near making a move, and Luke is falling back.
Yeah, I don't know why Luke's falling back, because he had a not too bad of a restart, but he's got Knight, who's on better battery than him, catching up. We've got RJ as well, that's got even more battery to use up as well, so they make towards turn 5 and 6. Maybe it's a setup. Maybe the setup for them is designed to get more traction, in the corners. Potentially that is probably why Luke hasn't got that setup that he needed as well, but not many people race around this track regularly as well. That's probably why they don't have a chance to make any setup changes that they do need as well. RJ's using a bit of overtake on this back straight heading towards turn 11, which is quite brave because he's not even close to Knight, but maybe if he get within DRS, as he almost had a bit of a moment in turn 12. You can see he was trying to save a little bit there as well, but he's got the DRS, can't quite get the move done. We've got Bunty who's trying to get past Alchemist. Bunty does get past it up to 12. He's in the points, which is a good consolation prize, but I'm sure he would have wanted to be higher, let alone win that race. So, yeah, he's probably a bit angry, so that's probably why he's driving like that. But at least he's got past one car unscathed at the moment, so we will see what happens. But, yeah, and we're not seeing any major moves in the top 5 at the moment. So this is probably where it could stay towards the end, unless we get another safety car, which I'm surprised we haven't received any, just one. I thought we would get more than that, but it shows that we've had a lot cleaner standards in Division 3 this race, considering it's Australia. So it shows that they've been practicing, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. Now RJ's the man on the move. Maybe he's up behind the Ferrari of Knight trying to think of a way through. Of course, this is a massive opening for RJ in the championship. 14 points off the lead. Rikurik is not here tonight, and he's got a comfortable margin of, well, about 15 points back to Luke behind in the standings. So RJ here has a massive opportunity to retake the lead of the championship. If he can get 4th on the road, he'll be level on points. If he can get 3rd on the road, he can get into the championship lead by a single point. So, yeah, RJ's got to try and get past, but at the moment he's just a little bit stuck. And everybody so far seems to be keeping well. The dirty air doesn't seem to be having an effect. Brent, though, on the hards, is going past Old School. Wow, I think Old School must have made a mistake. Old School must have made a mistake at 12 there. I think there must have been a mistake because he was within DRS range of Darry and now was dropped out of a second behind. So Old School clearly making a mistake in that chicane. That's allowed Brent through. Brent has gone forwards on the hards rather than backwards. He's not going to be in DRS range of Darry though. But Old School, crucial mistake. He's dropped behind the hard runner. Could Brent potentially win this race on a set of hards?
Well, I was not predicting Brent to be winning this race in a strategy which we didn't think would work, but maybe the memes are starting to wear a little bit more, and the tyre degradation is probably a lot worse than expected for the people on the medium tyres. So keep an eye on him. I wasn't as Old School has been pressured by Tope heading towards turn 5.
Lovely.
We've seen a lot of people lose it, but Tope, that was absolutely brilliant. We're starting to see Knight almost doing the same thing past Luke, heading towards turn 7 and then into 8. Nope, he couldn't quite do it either. Which I think we're seeing the train just grow and grow and grow. The only person not in that train is Bunty and Alchemist. Everyone else is as well. As RJ is running a little bit wide off Maverick as well. Marty's looking quite good on traction in this back straight, so he could get both of them as well. Cam's looking quite good on Passy as well. One small error from these guys and that can cause a concertino effect, which we do not want to see happen at the moment. But these midfield cars are doing amazing, but I'm seeing a common factor for most of these guys. They're out of batteries. Alchemist is out of the race. He's binned it. Turn 12, safety car, soft tyres I presume, because that could get to the end. So will everyone go on the softs, or will they would want trap position? But with Brent's case, Brent's staying out, so I'm guessing, yeah, they want the trap position. But if you're outside the top 10, maybe go for softs. If you're inside the top 10, probably stay out and try and gain as much position as you can. The top 3 stayed out. Old School's in, Luke's in, Knight's in, RJ's in. Pretty much everyone from 5th downwards has gone in for a set of the soft tyres. No brainer really for these guys, but I thought Brent would appear then. But if he was able to stay on hards and defend his position last time, he could do it again as well. And with Darry and Tope, he saw what Brent did in the last couple of laps. They're probably confident and they could do the same.
Yeah, possibly confident, like you say. Old School, I think it was a no-brainer. He was starting to struggle on those medium tyres. We did have a big Constantina coming up towards turn 6. I think Tope had got the move done around the outside of 4, and then Old School was kind of half there at 5, and in trying to back out, he kind of almost looked like he slammed on the brakes coming into turn 5, which is usually a flat-out corner, and that caught Luke and Knight out, and then it boxed everybody up behind. So that was why it was very close in that middle sector on that lap. But yeah, now it's opened up a whole new dynamic in this race. Only the top 4 stay out then. Everybody else has come into the pit lane for a fresh set of soft compound tyres. So now we see what the likes of Old School and Luke can do on these tyres. Can they get anywhere in this race? We said that the hards of Brent would fall back. That has not been the case at all. In fact, he's gone forwards. So you would say on paper the softs could go forwards, but will they? That's the question. We don't know. It's difficult to overtake. So if Old School can't immediately get a move done on Marty, he could just get stuck.
Yes, and I think a safety car has benefited a lot of these drivers as well. And don't forget Marty spun earlier on in the race as well. He spun from P2 at the final corner, and he could still be on a shot of winning this race with the fresher tyres that he's got. That's how the tables had turned, and Marty's thinking, thank goodness I have a chance of winning this race still, because other people could make a mistake. Marty could get third, I reckon, because Brent could struggle, but I said Brent could struggle a few laps ago before the safety car restart, and he still managed to get third. So I don't know, he's going to find it a little bit more difficult this time. Probably a lot easier to keep the medium runners behind him, a lot harder to keep the soft runners behind him as well. I'm just going to look at the delta actually between the softs and the mediums and the softs and the hards. There's probably not a massive difference compared to certain tracks. 1 second between the softs and the mediums. And the reason why Brent was able to keep the medium runners behind, the mediums and the hards are only a 5/10 difference. So Brent's going to get swamped by the soft runners, but I'm sure he will have no problem keeping the medium runners behind him of Tope and Marty. So he's got to worry about Old School and Luke and the guys behind them too, really. Everyone else he shouldn't have a problem with.
Yeah, he shouldn't have a problem if he's got to use. Basically, he's got to hope that Tope and Marty are a bit of a buffer here in this race for Brent if he wants to hold on. Dario as well, of course, who's looked pretty much in control of this race ever since we saw Marty have his spin and then Bunty go off under the first virtual safety car. Dario's looked pretty much in control of proceedings, but now he's got Brent behind him on a fast set of hard compound tyres, and now we've got, well, pretty much the rest of the field beyond the top four, well, all of the rest of the field beyond the top four on a fresh set of softs. So now we see what kind of pace they have to get through this pack. Can they get any overtakes done before the DRS is kicked in? Can they use that freshness of the softs? And will the softs pace last for the rest of this race, of course? Will they overheat by the end of the race and cause them to fall back again? Safety car is in this lap then. Darry gets round number 2 and he's immediately backed off. Oh my word, what? Marty was not ready for that. He almost completely cleaned the back of Tope's Williams off. He just got away with it, but Marty was not prepared for Darry to slow down. Darry here slowing down a lot earlier, which suggests to me that he's going to go a lot earlier and wait for the safety car to get in, but he has dropped his speed right down here. He's got to make sure that everybody is aware of when he's going. So when does he decide to go? It looked like he almost went there, but he hasn't gone yet. The safety car's not into the pit lane, so it won't really allow him to go yet. He's still waiting out of 13, coming through turn 14 now. Just slowing everybody down a little bit, and then 15 and 16, of course, the last 2 corners. When does he decide to go for this restart? He's still waiting at the moment. He's slowing them down a lot, but still not going. So the tyre temperatures are going to be plummeting for the drivers behind here. Darry still yet to go for this restart. He's just cruising around the final corner. Still not gone out of the final corner. He's leaving it very long. Yeah, doing the same thing as last time, leaving it very long. Does he decide to... Oh, there was a bit of contact further back. I think Luke and Knight were expecting to go, and they haven't, and they've made maybe a possible bit of contact there, but that restart was so slow from Darry that he's caught nobody out, because everybody's right there, and Marty's gone off the road as all the soft runners just pile past him. Old School's already through, Luke's through, Knight's through. In an attempt, really, for Darry to catch people out, what he's instead done has given the soft runners all the time.
They hit each other.
Yeah, they've got Marvit's gone fully around as well. I'm not surprised by that. And Darry waiting so long, instead of spreading the field out, he's bunched them up so much that the soft runners can just immediately pounce. So that strategy from Darry, surely it's not going to work. It's just given a massive advantage to the soft runners.
Yeah, I was questioning why he did the same strategies before, because we saw how Old School closed up to him in that last safety car restart. So I think he's made a little bit of a mistake there, as Cam adds his name to the penalty board. So 3 drivers having penalties at the moment, but you can see Old School will probably not have the effect to try and get past yet. But speaking of that, due to the second difference between the softs and the mediums, sure, this will be a move you'll be thinking of down the inside, which you just not think about as of yet. He's biding his time. He's ever so close, and when the DRS detection point happens in a few laps' time, I think he will potentially go for the move as well. RJ is really close to the back of Knight, which I have to say Knight is having a better race than intended, but I forgot to say this, now with Alchemist retiring, everyone, as long as they finish, will score points. I hope you won't see any pit lane retirements, because you will get at least 1 point in this race. Marty goes into the pits. Maybe I wonder if he's going to park the car I don't think. No, he's not. I think he's following my advice here, Aiden, and wanting to get some points here today. He's going on to the soft tyres, and he's probably realised they're getting 1 point. Oh, Knight has spun. Sorry, huge commentator's curse for Knight. I said he would do well, and he's down in 10th, and he's spun in turn 3.
Oh, that was awful for Knight. Knight minding his own business, and Bunty has just dive-bombed RJ into turn 3 and cleaned the Ferrari out. That is so unfortunate for Knight, who was having such a strong race, like you mentioned, just taken out by the Alfa Romeo. I don't know if the Alfa Romeo's got any damage or if RJ's got any damage trying to avoid it, but either way, that is super unlucky for Knight, who was having one of his best races of the season. He'll be, I'm sure, really, really livid with how that one went down for him, sadly. So he is now well out of the running, down in 11th position. He might have got away with no damage, but yeah, that is such a shame. Old School onto the back of Taupe, but still, Old School can't find a way through here. Old School can't get past Taupe at the moment. Taupe is defending quite nicely. Old School can't find a run anywhere to get past the Williams, and it's just protecting Brent and Darry at the moment. Luke and RJ right there trying to get ready to pounce, and RJ too late on the brakes has now cleaned into the back of Luke, and Bunty missing his braking point there, nearly going completely off the road. Now Passe's right there. Has RJ damaged his front wing in that exchange? We'll have to wait and see. We'll see the car through turn 1. That'll be a telling sight as to whether he gets the car turned in for the first corner. Turns into turn number 1. I don't know. It doesn't look great. And Bunty's immediately onto the back of him here, going around the outside up towards turn number 3. He's got such a run out of turn 2. Bunty's passed by the time they get to turn 3. Round the corner he goes. I think RJ does have damage because Passe's immediately onto him. We've seen it again, the Constantina effect. People are getting caught out by it. Bunty killed Knight on the RSAP, and now RJ has run into the back of Luke. Passe, not accounting for RJ being slow, has just run into the back of RJ, and that's allowed Campercake to get back past the Ferrari. Or not quite, because Passe's held the place for the time being. But everybody's just seemingly not aware of the Constantina effect as Camke back down the inside. That's not going to work. That's really, really close. Camke, though, is going to get it done. Lovely overtake from Camke. Gets the move done. But driver's just not equating for the Constantina effect. Bunty's knocked one Ferrari off the road. The other Ferrari's hit the back of a damaged McLaren that's damaged himself in another Constantina effect. So driver's just not aware of it at the moment and are just causing themselves damage.
Yeah, and if they get more damage, they'll probably retire from the race and or may not get a good result. And you definitely do not want that. And shout out to Brent once again, who is proving all of us wrong, as Old School caught that save quite a lot.
Luke.
And Luke's probably going to get him now due to that save as RJ comes
3 wide.
in. 3 wide, actually. We've got 3 cars trying to go for the move into turn 1. I think one of them had to back off there, which will be Old School. But Old School could fight back, heading towards turn 3 then. CRS activated. He's using his overtake. Actually, he's not using his overtake, so he's backing off for the time being. They're all on the same train. So we've got the top 6 in the train. Then we've got, I think, 7th, 8th and 9th in the train, and everybody else is in no man's land at the moment as RJ's gone in for a fresh set of softs. Maybe they want to go for a cheeky fastest lap, just like Marty did as well. As I was saying that, good timing, on cue again. But yeah, Brent is even catching up to Darry as well, so I'm impressed he's holding up a lot of these soft runners. I thought he's going to get swamped again, so I think if I just keep talking back, proving just bad things about his strategy, he just comes in, goes on the hard. So like you were saying earlier, if you're in a lower division and you're good around Australia, maybe the hard is not the baddest of strategies to be on, because Brent is proving that hards could work, and hard is almost 2 seconds slower than a soft. So I think it just shows that trap position is key. Passe gets past Cam again into turn 13 quite nicely, and Maverick, his teammate, gets past Cam as well. So he's dropped a few positions. He's going to drop quite a bit anyway due to penalty, so he didn't really want to fight that, to be honest. But yeah, not long to go until the end of the race. Will Brent fight for the lead? But Luke's actually going to try and get Taupe into turn 1. This is going to get feisty as they try and go the right-hand side there as well. They make a little bit of contact, but Luke just about gets ahead of Taupe there as well. We're seeing the other Williams driver going 3 wide into turn 3. Oh my God, this could either end in tears or end very well.
Oh, they've all gone off the road.
They all go off the road actually as well, which shows 3 wide into turn 3 and 4 does not work out. It's benefited Old School and Luke, but it's not benefited any of the others, unfortunately, as Bunty has gone off the grass as well.
Damage,
yellow
surely,
flag. Yeah. Passe has spun, turn 5.
My, oh my. What on earth? What on earth has happened since the safety car restart? That was a dive bomb and a half from Luke at turn number 1. That was never going to work, and he's forced Taupe off the road in the process, which I think Taupe will feel a little bit hard done by in that one. and then they've all raced themselves into turn 3, and all 3 of them have missed their braking point and gone straight on at turn 3. So Mark was swamped a lap ago by those drivers because of a mistake of his own, and then all of them just gifted him those places back, and he's back up into 3rd. So I'm sure he's grinning from ear to ear at the moment. Luke is right on the back of him, but I doubt Luke's going to get away with this race without a penalty, because that was a brutal overtaking attempt on Tope. Tope might have some damage from that as well. Tope will feel definitely hard done by from that incident. So I feel we're going to be having a lot of stewards reports coming in this evening for a lot of drivers. Luke now trying to get to the back of Old School. Brent, though, is on the back of Darry. Oh, and as I say that, he has a wobble at turn 1. He just gets away with it, but that's cost him his opportunity down to turn 3. Luke's not close enough to Old School as well down to turn 3. So the top 4 are spread away. Tope's surviving just about in 5th, but Maverick, by the way, spun on the first lap of the safety car restart. Maverick had contact with Marty and spun on the first lap of this restart and was last, and he's now 5th. Everybody else in front of him has imploded. Bunty into the pit lane for a fresh front wing. RJ running around in 11th on his own. Passey's trying to recover after his spin. Knight's trying to recover having been taken out by Bunty. I don't know where to look next at the moment. There's so much happening, and while all of this is happening, we've got three completely different strategies in the top 3.
One on mediums, one on hards, one on softs. Who's going to come out on top? Literally anyone can come out on top for these guys. Let us know in the chat. We got quite a few Old School fans in the chat as well. But I have to say, Darry's been looking brilliant all race, to be honest. He hasn't won a race all season, I believe, as well. And this could be really a breakthrough for him as well in this championship, because I believe we go to Spa next week. And I'm sure that's a track where he's not too keen on. So to get points here on a track where he's more confident in will definitely give him some hope potentially for Spa to redeem himself after a shocker last season. So as we head towards lap 27 then, out of 29, Darry still leads from Brent in P2. Brent not able to get past Darry at the time being, but the mediums are starting to die quite a bit, so the hards are really going to start to come into effect with the crossover period. So Brent, this is Brent's opportunity to really go for the race victory here as well. He had a very good result last week, and he can replicate that with another podium this week as well, which could put his championship back where he started, to be honest. It's going to be absolutely fantastic for him. Maybe he's just waiting for the last lap potentially as well, because the mediums were meant to last 18 laps. Don't forget there was 2 safety cars, so the mediums can get to the end quite comfortably. If there was no safety cars, I would have questioned Darry being on the mediums earlier on, but at least he's able to keep the other cars behind as well. No other major changes right now, unless you're Knight and Cam K. Cam trying to do something similar to what he did earlier on, but this time Knight did exactly the same thing. He's passed Cam up to P7. This is ball position as both drivers are on time. Hell, he's almost a bit of a slide there from Knight. Let's go jump back to our leaders. They're not changing at the moment. Luke's in this train as well, but like we said, we might get a penalty. Maverick's in this as well. I have to say, Maverick, he's doing a lot better than what I've seen in previous races. Maybe this is a return of form we'd like to see. Don't forget he came from Division 4 and he's fighting for the top 5 in Division 3. It's brilliant to see his performance. Final lap then. Oh, well, not final lap yet. Well, penultimate lap. We're starting to lose track of laps here, but Brent's just got to do all he can. Old School's got to do all he can. Who's going to win?
I don't know who is going to win this race. At the moment, Brent can't get the run through turn 1. Brent is very good in the final sector, but he's just not committed enough through turn 1 to be able to have a run on Darry into turn 3. And the same with Old School. Old School just doesn't seem to be able to have the commitment on his tyres. Maybe the softs are at the end of their life, they're not giving as much grip as he would like. By the way, if Luke is to finish here and doesn't get a penalty, this will be Luke's 4th place finish of the season. He keeps finishing 4th so far at the moment. It's all he seems to be doing at the moment. And at the moment, he's in 4th yet again. So doing a brilliant job, but like we said earlier on, I doubt he'll be able to keep that pace after what's been happening in this race. There'll be a lot to talk about once this race is finished. We've got a lap and a sector to go. Can Darry hold on for his first win? Can Brent get his first win? Remember, everybody in the top 4 here has not won a race this season. None of our top 4 have been race winners this season. They will be hoping to God that they can get their first wins of the season for many different reasons. Old School, it's been maybe a little bit of a lackluster season. He'll want to win very badly to put something on the boards. Luke is right there in the championship, 3rd at the moment. A win would put him right into play with Rick Urich not here and RJ well down the field. Brent as well could throw his hat into the ring maybe of a possible late championship surge with the run of form that he's possibly on at the moment. On to the last lap. Can Brent get the run through turn number 1. It's an okay run, but Darry's got a bit more grip through turn 3. That's too much of a gap. He's not going to be able to get Darry from that far back into turn 3. He's late on the brakes, but not close enough. Luke, also on old school, not close enough to the McLaren to think about a move to take the podium off of him. It's now all about the run to 13. That is the last opportunity Brent has to try and win this race. Can he get the run through the 11 and 12 chicane and pounce on Darry at turn 13? Darry has done all he possibly can to try and win this race. That is Passe that's gone around again now, coming out of turn 3. So a horror race turns into yet more horror this season for Passe. This is not the final race in the championship he would have wanted. I think he's missing his front wing entirely at the moment. So what a horrible way to finish for him then. Coming into the 11 and 12 chicane, we'll watch Brent through here. Does he get the run on the Williams through this final chicane? Can he get the run? No, he can't. He's nowhere near close enough. I think he might have done it. I think Darry finally is about to get his first win in LOE.
Yeah, I think Brent's just not close enough. Neither is Luke onto old school. So I think it's not going to change much on that occasion. But Darry, few more corners to go. He is going to be loving he's going to be loving this result at the end of this. But Darry comes across the line to take his first win in LOE and takes the win in Australia. Excellent result for him. Brent comes across the line in P2. Old School with another podium in P3 after not scoring last week. Luke in 4th, Tope 5th. Cam jumps up to 6th ahead of his teammate Maverick. So another good result for him after starting 11th. Knight in 8th. He's pinned it across the line. Marcy, a good recovery drive to 9th. I'm sure he would have won higher after the safety car restart escapades on the final. Well, pretty much from lap 19-20. RJ comes across the line in 10th, and they were just waiting for Passe and Bunty. All 12 of them will score points. Who's got the fastest lap so far? It will be Bunty. So Bunty will get 2 points instead of 1.
Yeah, get that extra point, of course, finishes in the points. That's good for him, at least to salvage something from what was a chaotic race, I think is the right word to say. From start to finish, it was madness. And you've got to say as well, that race was maybe not the base for wheel-to-wheel racing, because this track is difficult to wheel-to-wheel race, but we saw a lot of rookie errors, you've got to say, this evening. No other way really to describe them. A lot of rookie errors tonight that cost a lot of drivers. The only driver, really, that did not make a mistake this entire evening was Darry, and he is rewarded with the win. Brent, from last on the grid, gets second on a set of hards. That played beautifully for him, but of course his mistake came in qualifying, so he didn't have a clean evening tonight. Old School had a few moments, but was gifted a massive opportunity at the end when 3 drivers all missed their braking point for turn 3, and he ended up on the podium. Luke was one of those. Tope was another one of those as well. Bunty was the other one. He finished down in 12th. Cam K gets 6th, so yet more points on the board for the Red Bull driver. Tope 5th, like you mentioned, rounding off the top 5. Maverick in 7th, so Red Bull 6th and 7th. They have a Knight in 8th who was taken out midway through that final stint, so he'll be possibly very livid with that result, unfortunately. Marty in 9th ahead of RJ in 10th. Can't capitalise on Rekurik not being here. Rekurik will hold the championship lead going into the next round in Belgium. Passe, what is potentially his final race this season. Another horror show for Passe this season. It's just not been a good season for the Ferrari driver. And Bunty, the final finisher and final points finisher, he'll get 2 points as well. We'll get 2 points in total, 1 for that 12th place finish and 1 for the fastest lap. Alchemist, Mats, Rom and Noah J, your 4 retirees from the race. I don't know how we only had 4, because it felt like almost everybody in that race crashed at some point. It was bizarre, to say the least.
A majority of people's expectations, they just want to survive, really, and a majority of people have survived, and I think a few people could have gone quicker, but they realise that if they do that, they'll get involved in more incidents. We've seen some incidents, to be fair, but they not nail-biting incidents that send them into a wall, so a lot better than I expected for these guys as well, so well done to them, and they're now going to be setting their sights on Belgium, which is next. I am going to invite these guys to a party to see what they think of this race. I will be interested to hear Darry's thoughts, because I don't think you'll be expecting that race victory, and good redemption for the Williams pairing, who did not have the best of seasons apart from the first 2 seasons, so this could be their breakthrough moment from this point onwards.
Yeah, definitely looks like it, doesn't it? Topes and Darry really started off the season strong, and it's kind of plateaued recently, so this is kind of a bit of a thrust back into the limelight for the two Williams drivers, which is nice to see. Luke as well, with that 4th place finish, will close in on RJ and Rakurik at the front of the field, making it now pretty much a 3-way fight for the title as it stands at the moment. So that is going to be another thing to keep an eye out for as we head now. We are officially into the second half of the season. This first half of the season is absolutely flown by so far. Belgium next, and you've got to say there is a lot of tracks coming up that are very difficult, aren't there? There is plenty of tracks on this calendar that could catch a lot of these drivers out.
Yes, I think there's a few tracks that I'm not looking forward to race at either, but I'm very excited to commentate. So I think, you know, with the championship being wide open now, with Rakurik not being here and RJ not scoring as well, it's crucial for everyone to deliver, because otherwise they'll be out the championship fight now. This is where we start to see people get eliminated for the championship fight if the gap is not big enough. If they haven't got a win, I think, this season, I think their chance of getting into that championship fight towards the end of the season is second to none, really. So, but we'll see what the other drivers think, and we'll see if Dowie thinks that if he will be back in the championship fight at the second half of the season, because we don't have a break yet, but the first half of the season, you're going to the second half of the season at a clean state. Surely this will mean you will have the momentum now at the moment.
Yeah, definitely seems like he has the momentum, doesn't it? So, yeah, chaotic to say the least. We have got one person in the party, and that is our 3rd place finisher, 3rd podium of the season, to yourself, Mark. Congratulations. Before we talk about anything in your race, can you just talk us through your reaction when 3 drivers in front of you all missed their braking point for turn 3?
You play Gran Turismo. I thought maybe they'd all just, you know, when you get that disconnect. Anyone that's ever played Gran Turismo, when everyone just disconnects and goes off the track, I was like, is this real? I could not believe it. I was in a party with Luke, and I think it's just a classic case of following people through, isn't it? I think one person did it, and everyone's kind of followed on, and without that, I mean, I was on the limit. I'm not good at that track. I didn't do enough practice, so I was pushing like anything, and it nearly cost me a couple of times. Yeah, that was crazy, and the compounds at the end, medium then hard then 2 soft runners pushing, was crazy. That was, oh god, if someone would have told me I'd have got a podium and 0 points over the last 2 races, I would have been pretty happy with that. I'm just amazed it's this way round, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'm completely amazed, like you say, very amazed that is the case. But yeah, absolutely crazy stuff from you. So yeah, 3rd podium of the season for yourself. It's fair to say that your season's been a little bit up and down and a bit all over the place. So we're now fully into the second half of the season. What's the goal from here on out?
Win the constructors and come 4th, I think. Really, the guys in the top 3 are too far ahead. I think win the constructors is a reasonable goal. Poor Luke's kind of carrying by himself at the moment. So we got a good shot at that. I think that's got to be our minimum, and just try and stop Rick winning a title, because he's too loud. Everyone knows how loud Rick is. So
yeah, definitely too loud of a person, isn't he? God, he does like to stir up some stuff, doesn't he? Crazy stuff. Jess, have you got anything you'd like to ask?
Well, I have to say, I think you were saying that in the Discord chat. I don't know how you managed to get a podium after last week. You were almost having the win, and is it crucial now going into the later stages of the season that you use those podiums as that you got this season as motivation just to keep going?
I mean, for me, I break down the seasons into quarters, and I try and just increase my points tally every quarter. So that's kind of what I do. I'm not going to win the title, but if I can get involved and get a bit of TV time, then yeah, that's all I'm after now.
You've got a lot of TV time, let's just say that. That's my question, Adam.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, definitely got some TV time, and it was good TV time, which is good to see. So congratulations on your 3rd podium of the season. We will let you go. We'll move on to our 2nd place finisher, who is in the party with us, and that is Brent. Brent, it is also your 3rd podium of the season, if I'm not mistaken, which that is the case,
yes,
and your second one on the bounce as well, which is great to see. How was that race from your side of things?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Pace was very strong today. Just a bit of shame because of the second safety car. I couldn't quite see if it was a virtual an actual safety car, so I didn't want to pit onto softs. So I was a bit stuck on hards at the end, but pace on hards was very strong. Just a bit of a shame to miss out on a win, but P2 from last is pretty good.
Yeah, from last, like you say, is very good. Yeah, brilliant stuff from yourself. I'll ask the same question I asked to Old School as well. Not maybe been the start of the season you would have wanted, but 2 podiums on the bounce now as we head into the second half of the season. What's your target? I guess 4th at the moment is your target as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just to get the maximum possible result every race. I can't fight for the championship. Rick is too far ahead, but I mean, I'm going to try it. 100%, so we're going to see.
Yeah, definitely worth a shot. I mean, we've already seen tonight that our championship frontrunners didn't score particularly well, so anything can happen in the second half of the season. Jess, have you got anything you'd like to ask?
Well, I have to say, how on earth did you keep the soft and medium runners behind you on both safety cars? Because I even said to Aiden both times, now you're going to get swamped. How on earth did you avoid not getting swamped in those race starts towards the end? That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, pace on hard was actually very good. Hards felt like a very good tyre. And it's also on the DRS trains that did help, but yeah, the hards are very good today, so very happy with that.
And we head to Spa next week. Is that a track that you get on well with?
Yeah, I have had success in the past. It's just lately I've not been too good at this track, but I can actually get some time to practice for next week, so that should be good.
Oh, that's good. Those are both my questions. Congratulations on another decent result this week. Well done.
Yeah, congratulations on your 3rd podium of the season, Brent, and a 2nd place finish today. I don't know if we've got our race winner in.
Darry said he can't join.
That's a shame. That is a real shame. So we can't talk to our race winner tonight to Darry. But congratulations either way to Darry for winning this one. And yeah, what a crazy race it was. Before we sign off, Jess, your driver of the day. I forgot to ask you, who was your driver of the day today?
I don't know, but I think because Brent being able to keep his hard tyres in good check and still manage to finish in 2nd place, and starting from the back of the grid to P2 is just amazing. So I'm going to have to give it to Brent, because if I was Brent, I would have been swamped on those hard tyres, and he did a perfect job just to keep that position. So yeah, Brent's my driver of the day.
Yeah, definitely a good shout. I'm going to give it to Darry though, because I think he's the only driver this evening that did not put a foot wrong. So I'm going to give it to our race winner tonight. Maybe the boring choice, but either way, it is my choice. So there we go. That is our drive of the day nominations for today, and that is it. That is round number 9 over and done with. Thank you, Jess, for joining me back in the commentary box once again today. It's very possible that I might not be here next week, so we're going to be split apart once again, which is a shame. So we'll wait and see for that one. But either way, it was great to have you back in the commentary box this evening, and join us in about 10 minutes time or so for divisions 2 and 5. They'll be taking place on the League of Europe YouTube channel as well, and you can go back and watch this stream as well as divisions 1 and 4. They took place at the same time. We'll be back this time next week, 6:30 on Saturday for round 10 at Spa. Round 10 already, blimey, that has come quickly, hasn't it? But there we go. Thank you to everybody for joining, and we will see you this time next week. Take care and goodbye.